The Cold War cast a long shadow over Europe, and nowhere was this more apparent than in Germany. After World War II, defeated Germany was divided by the victorious Allied powers. The United States, Great Britain, and France controlled West Germany, while the Soviet Union took charge of East Germany. Berlin, although situated deep within Soviet-controlled East Germany, was also divided, mirroring the broader Cold War tensions. This division sliced through the very heart of Europe, leaving a continent physically and ideologically split. The capitalist West, led by the United States, and the communist East, spearheaded by the Soviet Union, stood as starkly contrasting models of governance and societal organization. Amidst this environment of suspicion and mistrust, the seeds of division were sown, and the Berlin Wall would rise as the most potent symbol of this separation. Families and friends found themselves torn apart, their lives cleaved in two by the unforgiving realities of the Cold War. What was once a shared city, a tapestry woven from common experiences and aspirations, became a landscape of stark contrasts, defined by barbed wire, concrete barriers, and the constant threat of violence. The German people, once united by language, culture, and history, were now divided by ideology, politics, and a physical barrier that would come to define an era. Constructed in 1961, the Berlin Wall served as a tangible manifestation of the ideological Iron Curtain that had descended across Europe. It stood as a stark reminder of the human cost of political division, a symbol of oppression, and the denial of fundamental freedoms. The wall's construction cemented the division of Berlin, cutting off East Berliners from the opportunities and freedoms enjoyed in the West. This act of division would have profound and lasting consequences, not only for Germany, but for the entire world. Erected practically overnight in August 1961, the Berlin Wall was more than just a physical barrier. It was a tool of oppression. Constructed of concrete, barbed wire, and guarded by armed soldiers, it stretched for miles, severing streets, neighborhoods, and lives. Its purpose was twofold: to stem the tide of East Germans fleeing to the West, and to serve as a powerful symbol of Soviet dominance over Eastern Europe. For those trapped behind the wall in East Berlin, life became a daily struggle against restrictions. Under the watchful eye of the Soviet Union, the communist government controlled all aspects of life, from work and education to information and travel. The wall stood as a constant reminder of their isolation, a concrete embodiment of their restricted freedoms. The human cost of this division was immeasurable. Families were torn apart, some finding themselves unable to visit loved ones on the other side of the wall, even for funerals or weddings. The wall became a symbol of oppression, a stark reminder of the human cost of political and ideological division. As a city once celebrated as a beacon of culture and unity transformed into a symbol of division and control, the Berlin Wall also became a powerful propaganda tool for the West, highlighting the stark contrast between the freedoms enjoyed in democratic societies and the oppression suffered under communist rule. By the mid-1980s, the winds of change were sweeping across Eastern Europe. The Soviet Union, under the leadership of Mikhail Gorbachev, was undergoing a period of significant political and economic reforms. Gorbachev's policies of glasnost, openness, and perestroika, restructuring, aimed to address the deep-seated problems plaguing the Soviet system, but they also unleashed forces that would ultimately lead to its demise. While these reforms were intended to revitalize the Soviet Union, they had the unintended consequence of emboldening reform movements across Eastern Europe. In Poland, the Solidarity movement led by Lech Walesa gained momentum, challenging the legitimacy of the communist government. In Hungary, the government began dismantling its border fence with Austria, creating a chink in the Iron Curtain. These events sent ripples of hope through the people of East Germany, who had long endured the oppressive rule of their communist government. Inspired by the events unfolding elsewhere in Eastern Europe, they too began to demand change. Protests erupted in cities across East Germany, calling for greater freedoms and democratic reforms. The Berlin Wall, once an unyielding symbol of Soviet power, was now under siege, its once impenetrable facade cracking under the weight of popular discontent. The East German government, caught off guard by the speed and scale of the protests, struggled to maintain control. The once unthinkable was now within reach, the possibility of a Germany reunited and free from the shackles of the Cold War. The world watched with bated breath as events unfolded, sensing that history was about to be made. The night of November 9th, 1989, will forever be etched in the annals of history as the night the Berlin Wall fell. It was a night of chaos, confusion, and ultimately, jubilation. A series of events, both planned and accidental, converged to bring about the wall's demise, culminating in scenes of joyous celebration that would be beamed around the world. Earlier in the day, Günter Schabowski, the party boss of East Berlin, delivered a rambling and confusing press conference. He announced new travel regulations that would allow East Germans to cross into West Berlin, but his words were ambiguous, lacking clarity on when these regulations would take effect. When pressed by journalists, Schabowski seemed unsure himself, finally stating that the regulations were effective immediately, without delay. The impact of Schabowski's words was immediate and electrifying. Thousands of East Berliners, fueled by years of pent-up frustration and a newfound sense of hope, flocked to the border crossings, demanding to be let through. Border guards, caught completely off guard and lacking clear instructions from their superiors, were overwhelmed by the sheer number of people demanding passage. Faced with a choice between violence and acquiescence, the guards ultimately relented, opening the gates and allowing East Berliners to cross freely into West Berlin for the first time in decades. The scenes that followed were nothing short of euphoric. East and West Berliners embraced, tears of joy streaming down their faces. The wall, once a symbol of oppression and division, was now being torn down piece by the very people it had been built to keep apart. The fall of the Berlin Wall sent shockwaves across the globe, signaling the beginning of the end of the Cold War. It was a victory for freedom and democracy, a testament to the power of peaceful protest and the indomitable human spirit. The event had profound and lasting implications for global politics, human rights, and the balance of power. The most immediate impact was the reunification of Germany. Within a year of the wall's fall, East and West Germany were formally reunited, ending decades of division and bringing about the symbolic end of the Cold War. This reunification had a ripple effect throughout Eastern Europe, emboldening pro-democracy movements and hastening the collapse of communist regimes in countries like Czechoslovakia, Hungary, and Romania. The fall of the Berlin Wall also had a profound impact on human rights. The event served as a powerful reminder that freedom is a universal aspiration, one that transcends borders and ideologies. It inspired people around the world to stand up for their rights and challenge oppressive regimes. From the streets of Prague to the townships of South Africa, the fall of the Berlin Wall gave hope to those struggling for freedom and equality. The geopolitical landscape was irrevocably altered as well. The Soviet Union, weakened by internal strife and the loss of its satellite states in Eastern Europe, would itself dissolve just 2 years later, marking the end of the Cold War and ushering in a new era of global politics. The United States emerged from the Cold War as the world's sole superpower, but it was a world forever changed by the events that transpired in Berlin on that fateful night in November 1989. 30 years after its fall, the Berlin Wall remains a potent symbol of the human struggle for freedom and the enduring power of hope. It serves as a reminder of the fragility of democracy and the ever-present need to safeguard against the forces of division and oppression. The lessons learned from the wall's rise and fall continue to resonate today, offering valuable insights into the complexities of international relations, the importance of human rights, and the enduring power of the human spirit. The fall of the Berlin Wall teaches us that even the most seemingly insurmountable barriers can be overcome. It demonstrates the power of peaceful protest, dialogue, and the unwavering pursuit of freedom. It reminds us that change is possible, even in the face of overwhelming odds, when people unite in common cause. Moreover, the Berlin Wall's legacy serves as a cautionary tale, reminding us that the freedoms we enjoy today should never be taken for granted. The forces of division, nationalism, and authoritarianism are never truly vanquished, and it is our collective responsibility to remain vigilant in safeguarding the freedoms won at such great cost. As we navigate an increasingly complex world, grappling with new challenges to democracy and human rights, the lessons of the Berlin Wall remain as relevant as ever. It is a story that continues to inspire, reminding us that even in the darkest of times, the human spirit, fueled by hope and the unwavering belief in a better tomorrow, can ultimately prevail.